Can a country be utterly broken yet wildly successful? That sounds crazy, right? Like completely bonkers. But there's one place on Earth that fits the bill: Somalia, a nation where chaos and prosperity awkwardly share a cigarette break. Welcome to Somalia. This, my friends, is the story of Somalia, the world's most successful failed state. We're about to dive into a world of contradictions in Somalia, a place where the rules of the game are written in disappearing ink. Buckle up, because things are about to get weird in Somalia. To understand this bizarre situation, we need to rewind the clock. Let's dig into the history of this enigma, Somalia, shall we? Our story begins, as many do, with poorly drawn lines on a map. See the country we're talking about? It's Somalia. Somalia wasn't always a bubbling cauldron of contradictions. It started, like many nations, cobbled together from different groups with their own languages, religions, and grudges that went back generations. You could say they were destined to be frenemies at best. And what's the quickest way to ignite existing tensions in Somalia? A charismatic leader with a penchant for dividing lines and a silver tongue that could convince a starving dog to share its bone. This guy, let's call him the Great Divider, rose to power in Somalia promising unity, but secretly playing each group against the other. He was a master manipulator, a puppeteer of fear and resentment. Unsurprisingly, things didn't go as planned. Instead of a harmonious utopia, Somalia descended into chaos. Protests morphed into riots, demands into bloodshed. The Great Divider, true to his nature, vanished into the sunset with a suitcase full of cash, leaving Somalia to clean up his mess. The nation, once brimming with potential, was on the brink of collapse. The stage was set, my friends, for one epic fall from grace. And trust me, it's about to get messy. Remember those poorly drawn lines on the map of Somalia? They became battle lines practically overnight in Somalia. Somalia plunged into a brutal civil war, each faction fueled by generations of resentment and a healthy dose of propaganda. Neighbor turned on neighbor, friend against friend. It was a humanitarian disaster of epic proportions. But it wasn't just an internal squabble. Oh no, this was a free-for-all. Other countries, smelling weakness like sharks to chum, swooped in to back their chosen sides in Somalia. Weapons flowed in, money exchanged hands under the table, and the conflict escalated from a backyard brawl into a full-blown geopolitical crisis. Peace talks? Oh, they tried. They always try. But imagine herding angry cats high on caffeine. That's what mediating between these factions in Somalia was like. Every agreement crumbled faster than a cookie in a wind tunnel. The country was trapped in a spiral of violence, with no end in sight. By the time the dust settled, if you could even call it that, Somalia was a shell of its former self. Infrastructure? Gone. Economy? What economy? Government? More like a revolving door of instability. Somalia was officially declared a failed state. The end. Or so they thought. Here's where things get interesting. See, while the government of Somalia might have been about as useful as a chocolate teapot, the people? They're a different breed. They'd stared death in the face, haggled with warlords over the price of bread, and used bombed-out tanks as makeshift playgrounds. Giving up wasn't in their vocabulary. With the government out of the picture, the people of Somalia took matters into their own hands. Need food? Start a farm. Need clothes? Get creative with those old parachutes. Need to trade goods across what used to be enemy lines? Welcome to Somalia's most chaotic and weirdly efficient barter system. And here's the kicker. This failed state, this land of perpetual crisis, started showing flickers of, dare I say, success. Certain sectors in Somalia, fueled by sheer grit and a healthy dose of we've got nothing to lose, began to thrive. It was unorthodox, chaotic, and completely unpredictable. It was also kind of brilliant. The world watched in disbelief. How could a country like Somalia, so broken, also be so damn resilient? How could a place with no functioning government still manage to function? This, my friends, was the birth of the world's most successful failed state, Somalia. And trust me, it's about to get even weirder. So, what does success look like in a country like Somalia that's technically failed? Buckle up, Buttercup, because it's a wild ride. We're talking about Somalia, where you can find a bustling street market right next to a gleaming tech startup, where ancient traditions meet cutting-edge innovation. It's a paradox wrapped in an enigma, sprinkled with a dash of how the hell does that even work? And the numbers don't lie. Despite the lack of a functioning central government, certain sectors of Somalia are booming. We're talking impressive GDP growth, rising literacy rates, and even some groundbreaking technological advancements. It's enough to make you question everything you thought you knew about. Well, everything. But it's not all about the Benjamins, baby. This success story in Somalia is about more than just economic indicators. It's about the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to adapt and overcome even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. It's about finding hope and opportunity in the most unexpected places. The question is, how long can this delicate balancing act in Somalia last? Can a country like Somalia truly thrive while teetering on the edge of chaos? To answer that, we need to delve deeper into the heart of this paradox. Stay with me, folks. Things are about to get real. All right, forget your fancy Wall Street jargon and your 5-year plans. We're talking about an economy built on hustle, pure and simple, in Somalia. In Somalia, entrepreneurship isn't a buzzword, it's a way of life. Got a wheelbarrow and a dream? Congratulations, you're an importer-exporter in Somalia. Can you sew a button on straight? Guess what? You're in fashion design in Somalia. It's a cash-based, barter-driven, hyper-local system that makes absolutely no sense on paper, but somehow works. Think of it as the ultimate gig economy, fueled by necessity and an almost comical disregard for bureaucratic red tape. Because let's be honest, when was the last time you saw a ministry of permits in Somalia, a country that can barely keep the lights on? And it's not just about scraping by. Remember those surprisingly high GDP numbers? Yeah, a lot of that is driven by this chaotic yet vibrant informal economy in Somalia. It's a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of the people of Somalia, who've turned a lack of formal structures into an opportunity for innovation and, dare I say, economic empowerment. But this economic free-for-all in Somalia comes with a catch, and it's a big one. Let's be real, where there's a power vacuum, someone's always ready to fill it. In Somalia, this is especially true. And in this failed state, that someone isn't always who you'd want to invite to your dinner party. We're talking about a complex web of power brokers, warlords, and fixers operating in the shadows of Somalia. Think of them as the unofficial government, pulling strings and calling the shots from behind the scenes. Now, this isn't your typical organized crime syndicate. It's more like a constantly shifting kaleidoscope of alliances and rivalries. One day they're fighting over control of a diamond mine. The next they're collaborating on a construction project. It's enough to make your head spin. And here's the thing. For the average person in Somalia trying to run a business or simply survive, navigating this shadow network is unavoidable. Need a shipment to cross a checkpoint without disappearing? Better know the right guy. Want to open a shop in a certain area? Be prepared to pay a protection fee to the local power broker. It's a dangerous game of survival in Somalia, where the rules are unwritten and the stakes are incredibly high. But hold on, because this story gets even wilder. Because amidst the chaos and the shadows, there's something else at play. Something that glitters and tempts with unimaginable wealth. Remember that whole failed state thing? Let's talk about Somalia. Yeah, turns out it comes with perks, at least for some. See, Somalia, for all its troubles, is blessed with an abundance of natural resources. And we're not talking about your run-of-the-mill coal deposits. We're talking about the kind of stuff that makes even the most jaded dictator drool. Diamonds, gold, oil, you name it. It's enough to make Scrooge McDuck weep with envy. But here's the catch-22. These resources, while potentially transformative, also fuel the very chaos and corruption that keeps Somalia mired in its failed state status. It's a classic resource curse, where the very things that should bring prosperity instead bring conflict, exploitation, and a whole lot of shady dealings. And it's not just a local affair. Oh no, everyone wants a piece of the pie. We're talking multinational corporations, foreign governments, and shadowy intermediaries all vying for control of these valuable assets in Somalia. It's a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess, where the pawns are often the very people who should be benefiting from Somalia's natural wealth. So, what's it like to live in this surreal world of contradictions, where chaos and opportunity collide on a daily basis in Somalia? Imagine a place where waking up each morning is like spinning a roulette wheel. Will there be electricity? Maybe. Will the price of bread be the same as yesterday? Don't bet on it. Will you get caught in the crossfire between rival militias on your way to work? Hey, it's a possibility. Welcome to a day in the life of Somalia, the world's most successful failed state. But here's the thing. Amidst the uncertainty and the occasional dose of "oh hell no," life goes on in Somalia. People adapt, they innovate, they find ways to laugh and love and create moments of joy even in the most challenging circumstances. You'll see kids walking miles to attend makeshift schools in Somalia, families sharing meals cooked on open fires, and entrepreneurs hawking their wares with a smile and a healthy dose of good-natured haggling. It's a strange juxtaposition, to be sure. A place where danger lurks around every corner, yet so does the indomitable spirit of human resilience in Somalia. It's a place where the line between ordinary and extraordinary is blurred beyond recognition, where every day is an adventure, and where the phrase "expect the unexpected" takes on a whole new meaning. But how did this bizarre reality come to be in Somalia? What led to this improbable mix of dysfunction and dynamism? To understand that, we need to dig deeper into the heart of this paradox, exploring the historical forces that shaped Somalia's destiny. Stay with us, because things are about to get really interesting. To understand the why of this whole crazy situation in Somalia, we gotta rewind the clock even further. See, our successful failed state, Somalia, didn't just materialize out of thin air. It's got a past, a messy, complicated past, courtesy of those lovable chaps, the European colonial powers. You know the drill: draw some arbitrary lines on a map, claim everything in sight for the queen, king, or emperor, and call it a day. Except, of course, it's never just a day, is it? For decades, Somalia was treated like one giant cash machine. Natural resources were plundered, local populations exploited, and any semblance of existing governance structures tossed out the window in favor of good old-fashioned imperial rule. It was basically Econ 101, but with extra helpings of exploitation and a side order of cultural annihilation. And you know what they say about reaping what you sow? The seeds of instability were planted right then and there in Somalia. By the time independence rolled around, Somalia was left with a shattered economy, simmering ethnic tensions, because nothing says unity like forcing different groups to compete for scraps, and a political system designed to benefit the colonizers, not the colonized. It's like giving someone a car with no engine, slash tires, and the handbrake jammed on, then pushing them down a hill and saying, "Good luck with that whole nation-building thing." Not exactly a recipe for success, is it? And sadly, this story is far from unique. The ghosts of empires past continue to haunt many nations, including Somalia, struggling to find their footing in a world still grappling with the legacy of colonialism. So, Somalia's a mess, right? Natural disasters, famine, conflict, you name it, they've probably got it. Enter the international community armed with good intentions, clipboards, and enough rice sacks to build a small mountain. The aid money flows into Somalia, NGOs set up shop, and everyone feels good about themselves. Problem solved, right? Well, not quite. Here's the thing about aid in Somalia. It's like giving a band-aid to someone with a gaping wound. Sure, it might stop the bleeding temporarily, but it doesn't address the underlying injury, and sometimes it can even make things worse. See, when aid money becomes the main source of income in Somalia, it creates a perverse incentive to stay dependent, to prioritize short-term gains over long-term solutions. Plus, let's not forget our old pal corruption. When you've got a system where accountability is about as common as a unicorn riding a bicycle, that aid money has a funny way of disappearing into deep pockets. It's a vicious cycle. Somalia needs aid to survive, but the aid itself can perpetuate the very problems it's supposed to solve. It's a classic paradox, and one that continues to plague many nations, including Somalia, struggling to break free from the shackles of dependence. But here's where things get really interesting. Despite the chaos, the corruption, and the aid paradox, Somalia has somehow managed to cobble together a system that, however improbable, actually functions. Forget your neatly drawn organizational charts and your top-down hierarchies. We're talking about a system so decentralized, so fragmented, it'd make a plate of spaghetti look like a straight line. Imagine a patchwork quilt sewn together with chewing gum and prayers, and you're starting to get the picture. In Somalia, in the absence of a strong central government, power has trickled down, or perhaps exploded outwards, into a kaleidoscope of local authorities, traditional leaders, religious institutions, and community organizations. It's a chaotic mix, to be sure, but somehow it works. Decisions in Somalia are made through consensus building, disputes settled through informal mediation, and services provided through a combination of community initiatives and entrepreneurial hustle. Think of it as a giant game of Jenga, where everyone's holding their breath, hoping the whole thing doesn't collapse. And sure, it's precarious, it's messy, and it definitely wouldn't pass an audit. But there's also a certain beauty in its resilience, in its ability to adapt and self-regulate in the face of adversity. It's a testament to the power of human ingenuity and the enduring strength of community bonds. And this, my friends, is what makes Somalia, this failed state, so fascinating. It's a living, breathing experiment in alternative governance, a glimpse into a world where the old rules don't apply and where new solutions are constantly being invented. Now, before you pack your bags and book a one-way ticket to Somalia, the successful failed state, let's be clear. This isn't a utopia. Somalia is a place of immense challenges, where danger and opportunity often go hand in hand. But for some, that's precisely the appeal. We're talking about adventurers drawn to the thrill of the unknown, entrepreneurs seeking a blank slate to test their ideas, and those simply looking for a place where they can live life on their own terms, free from the constraints of conventional society. Somalia is a magnet for mavericks, a haven for the unconventional, and a goldmine for those who thrive on chaos. But this influx of outsiders, while potentially beneficial, also presents a unique set of challenges. Can Somalia's fragile ecosystem absorb the pressures of globalization without losing its unique character? Can it embrace the benefits of foreign investment without falling prey to exploitation? And can Somalia navigate the complex geopolitics of a world increasingly hungry for resources without becoming a pawn in a larger game? The future of Somalia, the world's most successful failed state, hangs in the balance, a delicate dance between resilience and collapse, innovation and exploitation. The question is, which way will Somalia tip? Let's meet Fatima. She runs a stall in the market, selling spices her grandmother taught her to blend. Cardamom, turmeric, cumin. Her stall is a symphony of scents, a sensory explosion in the heart of Somalia, this failed state. Fatima, like most people here in Somalia, doesn't have a bank account, doesn't trust the fluctuating currency. Her business operates on mobile money, a digital lifeline in a sea of uncertainty. See that smartphone in her hand? It's her cash register, her bank, her connection to the world. Through it, she orders stock from suppliers across Somalia, negotiates prices with a tap, sends money to her sister in the next village. This failed state, Somalia, a place where government services are but a distant rumor, boasts mobile money penetration that rivals some European nations. It's a testament to the power of innovation, of finding solutions where others see only problems. Fatima's story isn't unique, it's a microcosm of a larger truth. The people here in Somalia haven't waited for a government to build them a digital economy. They've created their own, a testament to their resilience and resourcefulness. They've taken the lemons of a failed state and made a tangy, refreshing lemonade, one mobile transaction at a time. But it's not just about tech. This successful failed state, Somalia, is a tapestry woven from thousands of stories, each more incredible than the last. Stories like that of the professor and the warlord. And yes, you read that right. Meet the professor. He's a retired teacher, a man who believes in the power of education, even when the classroom is a bombed-out building in Somalia, and the textbooks are held together with duct tape and hope. Every day he teaches the children of his neighborhood in Somalia, nurturing their minds amidst the ruins. But this being a failed state like Somalia and all, things are never simple. The professor's school sits on land controlled by a local warlord. Now you'd think these two, the educator and the armed leader, would be about as compatible as oil and water. But here, in this land of contradictions, something remarkable happened. The warlord, a man who'd seen more than his fair share of violence in Somalia, saw the value in the professor's work. He provided protection, resources, even sent his own children to learn alongside the others. This unlikely alliance, forged in the crucible of chaos in Somalia, speaks volumes about the complexities of this failed state. It's a place where traditional power structures intersect with grassroots movements, where enemies can become allies, and where even the toughest exteriors can be softened by the promise of a better future for their children in Somalia. It would be easy, oh so easy, to get lost in the despair, to focus solely on the failed part of this successful failed state, Somalia. But that would be doing a disservice to the incredible resilience, the sheer tenacity of the humans who call Somalia home. They haven't let a dysfunctional government extinguish their spirit, their drive to build a better tomorrow in Somalia. Across this nation, you'll find communities coming together to rebuild their lives, to create pockets of normalcy amidst the chaos in Somalia. They're setting up micro-lending programs, establishing informal courts to resolve disputes, even creating their own currency systems when the national one goes haywire in Somalia. It's a testament to the power of bottom-up solutions, of people taking ownership of their destinies in Somalia. And let's not forget the simple acts of joy, the everyday moments that remind us why this struggle is worthwhile. The laughter of children playing in the streets, the shared meals between neighbors, the music that fills the air despite the hardships in Somalia. These are the threads of hope that weave through the fabric of this failed state, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit in Somalia finds a way to shine through. It's a testament to their entrepreneurial spirit, a spirit forged in the fires of adversity and tempered by a healthy dose of, "We've got nothing to lose in Somalia." Remember, in a failed state like Somalia, you can't rely on the government to create jobs or stimulate the economy. You have to become your own safety net, your own source of opportunity. And that's precisely what the people of Somalia have done. They've turned necessity into invention, adversity into advantage. Walk through any market in Somalia, and you'll be bombarded by a kaleidoscope of entrepreneurial endeavors. From cobblers crafting shoes from recycled tires, to tech-savvy teenagers offering phone repair services, everyone's got a hustle, a side gig, a way to make ends meet. It's a chaotic, sometimes cutthroat world, but it's also a testament to the boundless ingenuity of the human spirit. These aren't just subsistence-level ventures either. In the absence of stifling bureaucracy in Somalia, and with a healthy disregard for conventional wisdom, innovation thrives. Startups blossom in unexpected places, tackling local challenges with creative solutions. Who needs Silicon Valley when you've got a nation of self-made entrepreneurs in Somalia, hungry for success and undeterred by the odds? But can this entrepreneurial spirit, this remarkable resilience, be enough to overcome the deep-rooted challenges Somalia faces as a failed state? Can a nation built on hustle and hope defy the odds and chart a new course for its future? Join us next time as we delve into the potential futures of this enigmatic nation, exploring the possibilities and the pitfalls that lie ahead. Okay, folks, time for a dose of reality. Somalia, the successful failed state, for all its ingenuity and resilience, is teetering on a precipice. The same forces that have allowed Somalia to function, to thrive even, could also send it spiraling into deeper chaos. It's a high-wire act, and the safety net is looking awfully flimsy. Remember those power brokers, those shadowy figures pulling the strings from behind the scenes in Somalia? Their grip on power, fueled by resource wealth and a lack of accountability, could easily tighten, squeezing the life out of the very entrepreneurial spirit that keeps Somalia afloat. Imagine a scenario where these factions consolidate their control, where the informal rules become ironclad laws, and where dissent in Somalia is met with swift and brutal retribution. Not exactly a recipe for a brighter future, is it? And let's not forget the ever-present threat of external actors, those with dollar signs in their eyes and a penchant for exploiting instability in Somalia. Somalia sits on a treasure trove of resources, remember? Resources that make it a prime target for predatory investors and opportunistic governments looking to turn a quick profit. A sudden escalation in conflict, a natural disaster, a political coup. Any of these could trigger a scramble for control, turning Somalia into a pawn in a geopolitical chess match it can't possibly win. It's a bleak picture, no doubt about it. But amidst the shadows, there are flickers of hope, glimpses of alternative futures. Because Somalia, the successful failed state for all its flaws, also possesses a unique potential, a capacity for reinvention that could surprise us all. Okay, enough doom and gloom. Let's indulge in a little optimism, shall we? Imagine, if you will, a scenario where Somalia, the successful failed state, does what it does best. Adapts, innovates, and emerges from the ashes stronger than ever before. It's a long shot, sure, but hey, stranger things have happened. Picture a groundswell of grassroots activism in Somalia, fueled by a new generation raised on the entrepreneurial spirit and tired of the old ways. They've seen firsthand the limitations of the current system, the corruption, the inequality, the wasted potential in Somalia. They're tech-savvy, globally connected, and they're not afraid to demand better. Imagine them organizing, mobilizing, and holding their leaders in Somalia accountable. Imagine them harnessing the power of technology to create a more transparent, inclusive, and responsive system in Somalia. And what about those power brokers, those warlords and fixers who've held sway for so long in Somalia? Imagine a scenario where they too recognize the need for change, where they see the writing on the wall and opt for negotiation over violence. Perhaps they're driven by self-preservation, perhaps by a genuine desire for a better future for their children. Whatever the reason, imagine them laying down their arms, coming together to forge a new social contract in Somalia, one based on compromise, cooperation, and a shared vision for a more peaceful and prosperous future. It's a utopian vision, no doubt. But utopia, my friends, is often just a matter of perspective, of shifting the lens through which we view the world. And in Somalia, the successful failed state, where the impossible has a funny way of becoming possible, who are we to say what the future holds? Here's the thing about this failed state that's somehow succeeding. The world is watching Somalia. Not always with sympathy, mind you, and often with a healthy dose of self-interest. But watching Somalia nonetheless. Because in this age of globalization, of interconnected challenges and shared destinies, what happens in one corner of the world inevitably ripples outwards. For some, the successful failed state of Somalia serves as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of what can happen when governance fails and chaos takes hold. For others, Somalia is a source of perverse fascination, a real-life experiment in the limits of human resilience and the unintended consequences of intervention. But for a growing number, it represents something far more profound, a glimpse into a future where the old rules no longer apply, where traditional models of development are being upended, and where innovation is emerging from the most unexpected of places. Think tanks are analyzing Somalia's every move. Policymakers are studying its successes and failures, and entrepreneurs are drawing inspiration from its unconventional solutions. The failed state of Somalia, once dismissed as a lost cause, is now a hotbed of research, a petri dish for new ideas about governance, development, and the very nature of resilience. The world is watching Somalia, learning, and perhaps even hoping that this improbable nation can chart a new course, not just for itself, but for a world grappling with its own set of complex and interconnected challenges. So, what does the future hold for Somalia, the world's most successful failed state? If there's one thing we've learned about Somalia, it's that predictions are a fool's errand. This is a nation that defies expectations, a place where chaos and creativity dance a delicate tango, and where the only constant is change itself. Will Somalia succumb to the slippery slope of corruption and conflict, becoming a cautionary tale of squandered potential? Or will it rise from the ashes, a phoenix embracing a new era of peace and prosperity? The answer, my friends, is far from certain. It lies in the hands of the Somali people, in their choices, their actions, their unwavering belief in the possibility of a better tomorrow. The future of Somalia, the successful failed state, is unwritten, a blank page upon which its citizens are free to inscribe their own destiny. It's a story still unfolding, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, and a reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, hope, like a stubborn seed, can find a way to bloom. So, there you have it. The unbelievable, often absurd, yet undeniably true story of Somalia, the world's most successful failed state. A place where contradictions aren't just common, they're practically woven into the fabric of daily life in Somalia, where a crumbling government building casts its shadow over a thriving marketplace, and where the echoes of gunfire compete with the laughter of children playing in the streets. It's a paradox that challenges our assumptions, that forces us to confront the limitations of our neat, tidy labels. Can a state truly be considered failed when its people display such remarkable resilience, such entrepreneurial spirit, such an unwavering determination to build a better future? In Somalia, this question is particularly poignant. The answer, as we've seen, is far from simple. It's a messy, nuanced, and often deeply uncomfortable truth that defies easy categorization. We've journeyed through the tumultuous history of this enigmatic nation, from the scars of colonialism to the perils of the aid paradox in Somalia, from the shadows of the informal economy to the glimmers of hope offered by grassroots activism and entrepreneurial innovation. We've witnessed the enduring spirit of its people, their ability to find opportunity amidst adversity, to create moments of joy in the face of unimaginable hardship. But this story, my friends, is far from over. The successful failed state of Somalia stands at a crossroads, its future a tapestry woven from countless threads of possibility and peril. And the choices made, the actions taken, in this one extraordinary corner of the world will undoubtedly have ripple effects far beyond its borders. Because let's be honest, the challenges faced by Somalia, conflict, poverty, corruption, climate change, resource scarcity, are not unique. They're challenges that resonate across the globe, albeit in different forms and intensities. Somalia serves as a microcosm, a stark reminder that the neat lines we draw between nations, between developed and developing, between stable and fragile, are often arbitrary and misleading. The world is watching Somalia, yes, but it's also reflecting. The successes and failures of Somalia offer valuable lessons for us all, regardless of where we live or what passport we carry. Lessons about the importance of resilience, of adaptability, of finding innovative solutions to seemingly intractable problems. Lessons about the power of community, of collective action, of the indomitable human spirit that refuses to be extinguished even in the darkest of times. And perhaps, most importantly, lessons about the dangers of complacency, of assuming that our own societies are immune to the forces that have brought Somalia to its knees. Somalia stands as a stark reminder that the line between order and chaos, between prosperity and collapse, is often thinner than we'd like to believe. But amidst the challenges, amidst the uncertainty, there's also a profound sense of hope. Because if Somalia can find a way to not just survive, but to thrive, to innovate, to create moments of joy and beauty amidst the ruins, then surely we can too. The successful failed state, Somalia, challenges us to question our assumptions, to look beyond the headlines and the easy narratives, to see the world through a different lens. A lens that acknowledges the complexities, the contradictions, the messy realities that defy simple categorization. It's a call to embrace nuance, to engage in dialogue, to listen to the voices of those living on the front lines of change in Somalia. It's an invitation to challenge our own biases, to question our own privilege, and to recognize that the solutions to our shared global challenges will require empathy, collaboration, and a healthy dose of humility. The story of Somalia, the successful failed state, is a reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, hope can flourish. That innovation can emerge from the most unexpected of places, and that the human spirit, when fueled by resilience, ingenuity, and a shared sense of purpose, can achieve extraordinary things. So, the next time you hear the phrase failed state, especially in the context of Somalia, take a moment to pause, to reflect, to remember the enduring paradox we've explored together. Because the world, my friends, is full of surprises, including places like Somalia. Full of stories that challenge our assumptions, like those from Somalia, that broaden our perspectives, and that remind us of the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit, especially in Somalia. Stories that deserve to be told, to be heard, to be shared from every corner of the globe, including Somalia. So stay curious, keep exploring, and don't forget to subscribe for more adventures in our weird, wonderful, and often utterly baffling world, including the unique stories from Somalia. Until next time, stay curious.